Good afternoon. We're still in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 13. Now, there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in the oldest brother's house. And a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them when the Sabaeans raided them and took them away. Indeed, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Bad news. Sometimes the possibility of bad news has the potential to leave us in anxiety, keep us from sleep, there's the dread of bad news before it comes. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. Impossible that bad news would come right after bad news. But sometimes it does. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels, took them away, yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. This is one thing on top of another thing on top of another thing. I know that some of you have experienced really hard things that didn't seem to end, things that came wave after wave after wave. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and suddenly a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they are dead. And I alone have escaped to tell you. Sometimes there's no words. Sometimes there's not an appropriate platitude or not a convenient verse even that brings comfort. Some of the brain science that I have learned encourages me that when somebody is in this kind of pain, the best thing I can do is to sit with them and just be and not judge their process and not judge their response, and just be with them in a way that assures them that I'm not condemning them, that I'm not expecting them. There's value in being able to have people in your life that you weep with. When we're home again, the weeping will be finished. But while we are yet here, there are some really hard losses that we go through and try to endure and try to keep our gaze on God. But sometimes when the pain swallows you, it's hard to have the big picture because what's happening is so big. And it feels like it just goes on and on and on. And then Job arose. He tore his robe. He shaved his head. And he fell to the ground and worshiped. Just sit with that. It's not about what happens to us. It's about how we respond. There's intentionality. There's fierceness. There's honesty in this gut-wrenching moment of Job's life. And he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It's very hard not to appropriate blame or judgment on God when things are hard. But it doesn't define who He is. And it doesn't define who you are. We are just passing through the time here. In all of this, Job did not sin, nor charge God with wrong. I bless you to sit with that as you remember things in your own life. Can you find a way to be in alignment with this response? Naked I came, and naked I'll return. I bless you in being a good steward of the things that God has put into your life. And I bless you with the honesty of gut-wrenching emotion when you experience loss. And I bless you with freedom of shame and self-condemnation when it's a mystery and you haven't heard from heaven. And I bless you with the truth of eternity, that God makes everything beautiful in its time. I bless you at knowing that God is not a man that He could lie. And that while He knows how your gut has been wrenched, He didn't do it for that purpose. Perhaps it wasn't His hand, but the enemy's hand filtered through. But the Lord would never allow you to go through something that He could not, has not already healed you from. And I bless you with that hope today. In Jesus' name.